Hello, and welcome to the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Career Choice Virtual Panel Discussion. Today, you will be hearing from professionals in the field and have an opportunity to ask them questions. We hope these discussions will give you insight into the field and help you make informed choices about the careers you are thinking about pursuing and the pathways you should consider to get there. Before we begin, there are a few webinar tips to share. To interact with the panelists and moderator, submit a question through the Q&A feature found in the controls at the bottom of your screen. You can submit a question anonymously if you would like, but if you include your name in the submission, we'll give you a shout out before your question. You cannot interact with other attendees through the webinar. The chat feature has been disabled and only our staff members can view your questions that are submitted through the Q&A. Students participating in the full panel discussion today, you will be entered into a $50 Visa gift card drawing. If you are participating as a whole class, don't worry, we'll be reaching out to your teacher for a list of student names. If you need technical assistance today, please call the help desk at 434-766-6772. And now, without any further delay, I would like to turn things over to the discussion's moderator, Mr. Dan Hayes.
Hello, and we're so glad to have all of you here. These kind of decisions are so important and make such a difference in our community. We're so glad that you're taking an initiative, or whether, even if you didn't take the initiative, that you just ended up here. We're glad that you're taking some time to kind of research how to be able to give back better to your community and to be able to support your own life. We all want to be able to have that opportunity to be able to support ourselves. We want to be able to buy a car and get a house and be able to go out to dinner occasionally, and all those things come from having an excellent education and getting a good job. And the purpose of a lot of these things is making sure that you know, and if I talk too fast, I apologize, I'm from Massachusetts. So the important thing we want to let you know is that there are good jobs here in the Danville area that you can get, or wherever you're there are good jobs in your area, so you don't need to go elsewhere. And you may choose to go away for college or for higher education, but we want you to know that we care about you and we want you to come back and to live out your career here in our area, in our region. This South Side region is a wonderful place to be, and sometimes it takes a few years to find that out, but we hope that you can consider that in your future plans. So I'd like to take some time now to let all of our guests tell their name and where they're from. So we'll start with you, Jacob. Go ahead.
Sure. So my name is Jacob Taylor. I'm the GoTech Training Coordinator. I'm housed here at the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. I currently train middle school teachers on various equipment that allows them to give their students real-world hands-on experience on 9 different career pathways. We have schools and labs located all the way from the west in Patrick County to the east in Greensville, Emporia, on up to the northern side of our coverage area, which is Prince Edward, Cumberland region. So if you drove from one end to the other, it might take you about 3.5 hours to get across it. I assist in the setup of labs at the schools in terms of like furniture, computers, and all the different equipment that the teachers use to teach those skills. The equipment includes 3D printers, laser cutter engravers, robotic arms, CNC milling machines, welding simulators, Raspberry Pi microcomputers, and the list goes on. The organization I work for, GoTech, their mission is to stimulate job growth within the Commonwealth by creating dependable talent pipelines in strategic sectors that's fostered through private and public partnerships.
Excellent. Good stuff. Wayne, we'll go to you next.
Hi, I'm Wayne Smith. I am currently semi-retired, but before semi-retiring, I worked for DanChem Technologies, and I am now a consultant to DanChem Technologies. While at DanChem since 2006, I held various positions such as VP of Technology, VP of Operations, Plant Manager, and New Process Development Manager. DanChem has a long history in Danville. Our history goes back to the late 1880s when we were part of Dan River Textiles. The site that I'm at, which is the only remaining site that still functions, became the Dan River Chemical Division in 1960. We were built in 1960. We have changed ownership several times since Dan River went out of business, and we are currently DanChem Technologies, and we make chemicals for other chemical companies. There are no DanChem products per se, but we make chemicals for people like Dow and DuPont and Monsanto and other companies that you may or may not have heard of.
Excellent, excellent. Then you're kind of hidden off in a corner of town where you're right in the middle of town, but you're off in the side zone.
Actually, yes, our site is half in the city limits and half in the county, which benefits us because we get electric from two sources.
Tough at bill time.
Huh?
Excellent. So Leslie, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Leslie Barksdale, and I am a civil engineer for Dewberry Engineers. I am actually originally from Pennsylvania, so similar to Dan, I'm not from here. I went to Virginia Tech, and Dewberry brought me to the area. I've grown to love Danville so much, and working for Dewberry has really been a wonderful experience. I've been here about 7 years. Dewberry is a national engineering and architecture firm, but we operate at the local level as a community-based practice. So I work in water and wastewater specifically. So if you think about when you turn on your faucet and water comes out, I figure out how we get water from our river, how it gets treated, how it gets distributed to your home. And then also when you flush the toilet or take your shower, where does the wastewater go? So how it gets piped back to a treatment facility, how you treat it, and then how you ultimately discharge it back to the environment. So the life cycle of water is what I focus in on. But Dewberry offers all types of engineering services. So that could be water, transportation, land development, structural, electrical, architecture. Some of the local projects you're probably familiar with are the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. So Dewberry designed and implemented that project. And then also Riverside Mills. So if you know where Cotton is, and also Spectrum Medical. Those are two major projects you're probably familiar with. So I hope to help you answer some questions related to engineering today.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Dr. Loman.
Yes, my name is Scott Loman, and I am from Southern Virginia, and I work for the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research. I'm a scientist. In fact, I'm a director of research. Our mission at the Institute is economic transformation, and we do that in a lot of different ways, including job training. We have a research department. We also have advanced learning, where we house the Governor's School and the Academy of Engineering. We work with Jacob with GoTech. And finally, we have a conference service center that we bring people from all over the area and beyond together to learn things. In our research department, we primarily focus on agriculture. So we look to work with businesses and farmers and producers to improve agricultural production. We have different facilities, including an analytical chemistry facility where we can analyze products for people. We have a molecular biology lab, a microbiology lab, where we look to develop natural ways to increase plant growth and health. We just launched a Virginia Tech Institute Controlled Environment Agriculture Center, where we grow plants indoors, and we look to support industry in that as well. We're looking to grow plants and fish together. And with that, we also have a technology component where we have drones. We have smart tables that are robotic tables, imaging tables, and we integrate sensors and other things to collect images on plants as they grow. So we have lots of different opportunities here at the Institute for science, and I'm thrilled to be here today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I forgot to say, my name is Dan Hayes. I'm the alumni director at Averett University, which means in short words, that means I get paid to visit people and eat lunch. I'm responsible for fundraising at the university and engaging alumni back with the university and helping them to help current students find jobs and keep jobs out in the world. So, but I'm not the interesting one here today. So great, we're going to go on to some questions and give each of you a chance to answer some of the questions. The first one I'd like to do is, you mentioned some of your background in education. To your current job, did you follow a traditional pathway, or did you kind of follow an odd pathway to get there? I'll go start. Oh, for example, I work in fundraising for Averett, but my major is aviation and my minor was theater, so I can act like a pilot. So we'll go on to the rest of you to see. Jacob, go first.
Sure. So I followed more of a non-traditional pathway. My major was in a science discipline. I got a Bachelor of Science in physics. Upon graduating college, I began teaching at Gretna High School. I taught physics and various math classes. Continued teaching for about 10 years until this position came up. I've been in this position for 2 years, but I would say that my teaching experience definitely helped me develop and learn the skills that I would need to begin to train teachers and how to use the various equipment in their classrooms. So while I didn't go to school to be a teacher or a trainer, I've been a lifelong learner that just learned enough skills to be able to provide those types of services.
Excellent. I'm going to skip over to Dr. Loman and let you go next.
Okay, so yeah, my career's been all over the place. Some people talk about climbing the corporate ladder. Mine's more been like a jungle gym where I've jumped all over the place. My degree was in biology as an undergraduate. I earned my master's degree in biology as well, but at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I was a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company for about 8 years. Then I co-founded an urban farm in Lynchburg, Virginia called Lynchburg Grows. That is still in operation now 20 years later. And then I returned to earn my PhD because of the Institute. The connection here with Virginia Tech allowed me to earn my PhD here and stay at home in molecular biology. And now I lead the research department.
Excellent. Go over to you, Wayne. You're on mute. Ethel, you're on mute.
Dude, I didn't get to tell everyone before that I'm from New Jersey. I
Excellent.
went to undergraduate school at Kansas State University because I wanted to be a veterinarian. Fortunately, I love chemistry, and at the behest of my guidance counselor, I pursued a career in chemistry because getting into vet school was very tough at the time, especially coming from a state that didn't have a vet school. So I ended up spending 2 years at Kansas State, didn't get into vet school, went back to New Jersey, got a job working for International Playtex back in 1975, finished my Bachelor of Science in Chemistry at nights while I worked full time, and pursued chemical engineering and organic chemistry in graduate school at Stevens and at Fairleigh again. Since then, I've moved all over the country because chemical positions were very plentiful in New Jersey, but I didn't love New Jersey because of taxes and traffic and whatnot. So I ended up in Georgia, North Carolina, and now Virginia. So somewhat of a non-traditional path.
Very good. Excellent. Leslie.
I took a very traditional path. So I did get my 4-year degree at Virginia Tech and then started working for Dewberry out of college. However, I will say there are opportunities at local community colleges. So GCC does offer an associate's program in engineering, and you can also study in drafting. So there is a lot of drafting if you're interested in CAD and Revit. Those opportunities are also at Dewberry. So you don't need to take a traditional path in order to do what I do.
Excellent. I didn't get you yet, Jacob, did I? I did? Okay, very good. I apologize. Very good. So going on to a second question, I guess the big lesson there is there's traditional paths and non-traditional paths, and all of them are fine. Sometimes it depends on where your passion leads you. For question number 2, what do you find to be the biggest challenge in your work? Obviously, they're the things that you love to do. What are the biggest, and I guess you could love the challenges too. What is the biggest challenge? And what are the point that I'm trying to get at is what is the thing that kind of almost scares you away from the job sometimes? But so we'll start with Leslie down there in the corner.
I'd say this is a challenge, but also an opportunity. I'm a female in engineering, and we design for construction. So I have a lot of on-the-job experiences as well in construction. So I have my hard hat, my boots, my safety vest. I'm on the ground, and I am doing inspection and interacting with contractors. So sometimes being a young female, sort of telling contractors what's right and wrong can be a little intimidating, but it is a wonderful opportunity, and I've learned so much as a female engineer in the field.
Excellent. Go to Jacob.
I'd say my biggest challenge in my current role is just having an understanding and background knowledge in the various pieces of equipment that our teachers in the region use to teach the career pathways that they teach. Another challenge that we run into is that the IT departments in the different school divisions, they're all set up with different policies and procedures that we have to make sure that we follow throughout the process of installing equipment, troubleshooting software, installing software, and troubleshooting the equipment. So thinking about the equipment that's involved in 9 different pathways can be a little bit overwhelming when you look at it from, the 10,000-foot view. But once you get into it, that's probably one of my biggest challenges, but I enjoy that challenge.
Excellent. I thought you were going to go down the road of paperwork, but very good. Wayne.
Glad you mentioned paperwork, because that is always a challenge, especially in the chemical industry. But for us, I think one of the biggest challenges is as the economy ebbs and flows, chemical manufacturers decide to sometimes take their production offshore, and that makes it hard. It's very competitive in the chemical industry because overseas will undercut pricing and whatnot. So we have to stay on top of our game and be competitive, be fast to respond, be very careful with our customers' intellectual property, because a lot of times that's one of the reasons they won't go overseas, because they're afraid they're going to lose their intellectual property, and we protect that like no one can believe. So it's a competitive world, and you just have to be on your game.
Excellent. So next to be Dr. Loman.
Yep. Mine's similar to Jacob. My big challenge is just keeping up with all the different projects we have. I'll go from looking at an analytical chemistry report to what type of computer vision program I'm going to use to analyze images, to why is the pH wrong in the hydroponic systems, and then we also have a polymer program as well. So my biggest challenge is just keeping up with all the different projects. But we have terrific employees and scientists that lead their own projects. So it's complex. And as Wayne said, another thing that's always a challenge is in science, there's a lot of competition for research and for research funding. So we have to remain relevant and have very specific focus on what we're doing to remain relevant. But at the same time, all that is just a wonderful challenge. It makes work fun to come to every day. It's like a big, gigantic puzzle to put everything together.
Excellent. I had a boss that once told me that if it was all fun, they wouldn't pay us to do it. But the good side is that there's that old adage that if you find the job that you love, then you'll never work a day in your life. So what is your favorite part of your job? And so what is your favorite part about your job? So we'll start with Wayne, if we could.
Okay. My favorite part is it's so varied that we're doing work for hundreds of different companies. So I get to see sometimes the newest technology coming out, and I don't have to work for the companies that are doing it. So my job is different every day. I get to see new projects, new processes, new chemistries, and it's never boring. And that's what excites me. Excellent.
So go to Scott, Dr. Loman.
You can call me Scott.
Very good. Thank you.
Similar to Wayne, it's so many different opportunities when we come in, and then we meet people with new technologies that want us to help them out, commercialize it, or it's just really being at the cutting edge, the sort of the leading edge of innovation. As we look to develop, say, for instance, biologicals to decrease the use of fertilizers in farming. That's just really neat stuff, and it's something that can benefit many generations down the line. So I just love being part of that and being part of developing new ideas and knowledge.
Excellent. Leslie.
So my favorite part one of my favorite parts about the job is really not even the engineering. It's helping communities solve problems. And one of the biggest challenges they have is finding funding to pay for their infrastructure projects. So a big part of my job is to find grants and loans for our communities. And in the past 6 years, we've brought close to $100 million in grant and low interest loans for water and wastewater projects. So that is something I'm always looking for our local communities, is how we can bridge that funding gap so that we can improve our water and wastewater systems.
Excellent. Jacob, that makes you next.
Yeah, so I would say probably the most enjoyable, or my favorite aspect of my job would be the fact that we're kind of big picture. We're not really, I might be training a teacher in one lab one day, say in Danville City Schools, or the next day in Pennsylvania County Schools. But overall, as an organization, our long-term goal, our big goal, is to bring jobs to the Commonwealth. So knowing that the work that I do can actually be a part in that and help to give students who are watching these panelists today future jobs that they may even apply for and have. I think that's one of my favorite parts to be a part of.
Very good. For this next one, we're going to start with Scott. We'll get him to go first, but wanted to do a quick question of what high school classes should a student be thinking about taking, or I guess some of our students may be middle school, but what high school classes should students focus on to be able to be successful and to be hired and move up quickly in a career such as yours? So we'll start with Scott first.
Mathematics. We do a lot of statistics. Numbers are important. So I would say math and science. My favorite class in high school was biology, and that encouraged me to go into biology in college, and but chemistry as well. So a lot of molecular biology is really chemistry for the most part. So your sciences and math, but science really takes, you have to write well. We have to be able to publish papers and communicate. So it's really a career that requires lots of different, skills. But the main thing is studying hard and trying your best, and the attitude is important as well.
Excellent, thank you. Wayne.
I'm going to reiterate what Dr. Loman said. Math and science were my bread and butter through high school. The thing that you now have that I didn't have in high school was computers, and learning technology, learning how to do your research online, learning how to prepare presentations, all very important. It doesn't do you any good to know the basics if you can't get that out and get it to folks. So those three, the math, the science, and computer technology are critical in my industry.
Excellent. Jacob.
Yeah, so kind of piggybacking on both of those responses, I would say that the IT portion, anything that you can take that involves computer math, science, or programming or coding. You think of all the pieces of equipment today that Mr. Loman, Mr. Smith talked about, or that I've talked about. They interface with a computer in one way, shape, or form. Being able to navigate that environment, understand what software is, what is firmware, what is hardware. Understanding that tech terminology inside of IT can open a lot of doors, and then those doors can lead you to lots of different places.
Very good. Leslie.
I always say the most beneficial class I ever took in high school was AP Calculus. If you do want to go into an engineering program, you will take 4 levels of calculus. It doesn't stop. Physics was also very helpful. You will take physics, you will take chemistry. So anything you do in high school is just going to set you up to be successful in college if you choose to go that route. I will say technical writing and public speaking, 2 classes or skills that will also just help you be successful. Communication is another aspect, especially if you work in consulting, if you are serving clients, or you do have to, write emails, letters, that kind of thing. All important skills on top of the math and science.
Excellent. So it sounds like there's obviously the science classes, the IT classes, but definitely, I think Dr. Loman mentioned also that, a couple of you mentioned it, being able to communicate back and being able to write down what you finished in an intelligent way that other people can handle is an important skill to pick up. So it's important to pay attention there as well. So very good. My next one is more about living. All of you make a decent salary and you do well. And what is good about this area? What do you love about this area? And if you're all here, why aren't you somewhere else? So we'll start with, let's see, who hasn't gone first yet? Well, on my list, we'll go Jacob.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Southern Virginia in Pennsylvania County. I actually only live about 7 minutes from where I grew up. So at 35 years old, I've spent 31 of those years almost within a rock's throw distance of that. And I'm drawn back to this area for kind of the outdoor type activities. I enjoy biking, hiking, kayaking, fishing, hunting, those types of activities. And there are a lot of opportunities in Southern Virginia around here to be able to do those things.
Very good. Go to Leslie next.
So I'm the opposite of Jacob. As I mentioned before, I'm from Pennsylvania, moved to Blacksburg for college for 4 years, and then came to Danville. What I found in Danville is there are so many opportunities to get involved outside of your job, extracurricular activities. I'm also a very active person, so lots of gym communities. There's the Riverwalk, there's the mountain biking trails. You can make a big difference in a small community versus in a larger city. And it's also way more connected. I really feel like my office is an extension of my family. So I have found a huge sense of place in Danville, and I anticipate me being here potentially for the rest of my life.
Excellent. Scott.
I'm glad you chose me because Leslie had a wonderful lead in.
Oh, good.
And Jacob, I'm only about 3 miles from where I grew up. So I've got you beat there. I grew up in Alta Vista, which is technically not Southern Virginia because of the river, but it's close enough. It's a stone's throw from Southern Virginia. I wanted to move back home and I wanted to work in my hometown. We're several generations there. My great grandfather was a constable of Alta Vista. I want to be involved with the community, as Leslie mentioned. They were really open to me being involved and happy that I moved back. I'm now on town council. I work with the Economic Development Authority on their board. And we're just doing lots of fun things around town. And it's the place. It's where I'm comfortable with. There's very low traffic, lots of opportunities for outdoor activities, as Jacob mentioned. I envision staying there. We sort of built our forever home there, so I don't plan to move anywhere else.
Excellent. Wayne.
Well, for many of the same reasons, ditto, but I grew up in a very rural northern New Jersey where I could go grab my shotgun and walk out my back door and go hunting. After college, when I went to work, I was located 5 miles from the George Washington Bridge, drove down to the Lincoln Tunnel every day to work. And I think it was Dr. Loman that mentioned traffic. I was very happy to get away from that. Moved to Georgia, North Carolina, like I said, and now Virginia, and I've been here since 2006. And Danville's the biggest little town around because it is so friendly, good people. There's lots to do, and I can get to anything I want that I need very quickly without having to worry about living in the middle of all of it. So I love Southern Virginia.
Very good. Excellent. I think that's important to let people hear. I think everyone who's in high school eventually at some point says, I can't wait. I lived in Virginia Beach my senior year of high school, and everybody goes there, but I was walking through the high school hallways and someone said, I can't wait to get out of this town. I'm going to Blacksburg, where there's some more to do. I was like, dude, you've never been to Blacksburg then. So we've got some questions from students. Rebecca shared that, is it difficult to get a job in this career field, and are there internships available? So we'll start with Wayne, if we could.
Yes, we've had interns for the last 5, 6, maybe more years. We've got an intern right now, and several of the interns we've had have gone on to chemical jobs at other bigger chemical companies. And it's absolutely a great way to see if you really like what's going on in the field that you're looking at. I wouldn't have traded working full time while I was going to school part time. I learned more in that period of time than I would have had I finished my bachelor's full time and then went out and got a job. It put me way ahead.
Very good. Is it hard to get a job in this area as a chemistry person?
We've been hiring engineers. We're only 125, 30 people, but there are I can think of 4 or 5 chemical companies that hire chemistry types, whether it's analytical chemistry, whether it's polymer chemistry, whether it's organic chemistry, biochemistry. So the jobs are definitely available.
Very good. Scott.
Yeah, it's a challenge getting into the field, but at the same time, there are lots of opportunities. We have a facility coming to Danville before long called Averett Farms that's going to hire about 90 people, and it'll be the world's largest indoor production facility. As far as internships go, we do offer internships. We have both STEM and AET has an internship program. So we house about 8 interns per year. And then we also do internship projects that are more customized. So we're always looking for opportunities to work with students, whether it's on the biology side or the robotics, computer vision coding side. We're always open to opportunities to work with students.
Very good. Leslie?
Dewberry has interns every single summer. So yes, those opportunities are there. And within the last 5 to 10 years, it has been a focus on bringing in young new engineers to the company. So that is a focus of our company. And yes, there are lots of opportunities right out of college to come work in this field.
Excellent. Jacob.
Yeah, so kind of piggybacking on Scott a little bit, since I'm also housed here at the Institute, they do have the internships at the different departments inside the Institute. Specifically with my role in educating educators, that's kind of a tongue twister there, but there are a lot of openings in education in and around the Southern Virginia region where someone straight out of school can get an entry-level job as a teacher. I don't think you would just come straight out of college prepared, ready, willing to start educating educators. I think you would need some experience under your belt to be able to do that.
Very good. That was everybody. Good. So next, Jordan asked, I like this question. I hope you'll, I think it's a question about the activity that you do. Jordan asked, what type of things do you use at your jobs? So, we'll start with Scott.
All kinds of things.
Very good. What kind of things?
Yeah. Now we use, as I said, I mentioned the robotics part. We use lots of machines. We do lots of measurements, a lot of analytical equipment. I guess that's pretty much the main, we have growing systems and greenhouses that we utilize. And then in our labs, we have lots of different equipment as well.
What's the most expensive piece of equipment that you use?
We have an analytical chemistry. We have it's called a MS. It's a UPLC MS, and it's about $600,000.
Excellent. I have no idea what it is, but I know it has initials and it's a lot of money. Very good.
I didn't want to get into it too much.
Very good. Wayne.
And we have used your GCMS and several other your analytical instruments because you do have a nice kit up at the Institute. So that helps us a lot. let's see. What was the question again?
What kind of things do you
Things-
use in your job?
Well, I'm standing in front of one of them right now. The computer tends to be one of those things that, and even prior to COVID, the computer was an important tool, whether it was putting together reports, doing spreadsheets, doing research. The computer was an important tool every day for me in my job. But I'm one of those guys, I go out, I don't mind going to the lab and doing some bench work myself. I've run pilot facilities. I've run the reactors in the plant. So I've done a lot of things hands-on. Go up to the shop and work with the pipe fitters and whatnot to design some equipment. So it's as much hands-on as you want to be. But like I say, computer is one of those tools because everything in the plant is connected to some form of computer. The distributed control system that runs the reactors, it may be PLCs that run the boilers or something like of that nature. So the electronics are very important.
Very good. I believe Jacob.
Yeah, so one of the reasons I'm broadcasting from the office and not my lab today is there's a lot of equipment in there running, a lot of ambient noise. So we have about 6 3D printers in there currently that are churning out some parts that we're going to use for a training tomorrow. We have a couple laser cutter engravers that can cut material up to 1/4 of an inch thick and engrave various material. Again, kind of piggybacking that computers interface with all of these things. Making sure that is a very important thing that I use on a daily basis. The CNC milling machines that are in our lab and in our labs across Southern Virginia for subtractive manufacturing applications. Talking about PLCs, we use the Raspberry Pi microcomputer as a little bitty computer and breadboarding type activity to introduce PLCs to students. So various things that we get to use on a daily basis in the GoTech lab.
Very good. What you said, breadboarding. What is breadboarding? I assume it's not what you do at Olive Garden.
It sounds a little bit like Olive Garden or Outback. You get your bread on a little
Yeah, but it's not what it is.
cutting board. But so original electronic prototyping was done actually on a board that looked like a breadboard. But the modern day breadboard is just a kind of a rectangular shaped board with holes in it. I'm looking around my office like I have one. And you can plug in various electronics into it to quickly build circuits and test out to see if they're going to work and what they're capable of.
Very good. Leslie.
Similar to Wayne, computer is what I use on a daily basis. So since we are on
breadboard, yes.
So on the design side, we are developing the plan. So we'll use CAD, we'll use those programs in order to develop the plans. But as I mentioned, I get to go in the field. So if you like excavators, dump trucks, drill rigs, pipes, pumps, valves, we see it all. Lots of things, yes, and it's all every project's different too. So it's even though we aren't necessarily using it, the contractor is. We do get to be on site and watch our designs be implemented and constructed. So unfortunately, computer is the main tool.
Not unfortunately at all. It's an important thing.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, so we're running low on time, but there's a couple themes that have been running. Multiple people have said, what is the salary range for your profession? So I'd ask you to do kind of a starting to not quite management. So not going into the management level, but kind of make that the salary for this area. Not, obviously if you went to the middle of the chemical world in New Jersey, you might make a little bit more, but it costs twice as much to live there. So we'll keep that perspective. Another question that's been relatively common is, what's the best school to go to get into your career field? And so I hope I know what the answer is there, but if you could do relatively quickly, we'll start with Leslie.
Starting salary for a civil engineer is around $50,000 a year. If you're getting into management, you're probably thinking $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Schools, Virginia Tech's awesome, but there are lots of schools around here. There's VCU, ODU, UVA, North Carolina, lots of schools, NC State. There are amazing schools in Virginia, North Carolina for engineering. So you don't have to go far to get an awesome awesome degree. Also DCC, can't go wrong with that program too.
Excellent. Scott.
For scientists, it can be anywhere from 45,000 to 95,000. It's a wide range depending on experience and what degrees you have. As far as schools, at Virginia Tech, I have to kind of plug Virginia Tech especially for agriculturally related science. NC State, UVA, they're all good. It's just a university with a research program would be a good start.
Very good. Wayne.
Again, salary range is similar for synthetic chemists and engineers, probably a little higher for the engineer than the chemists, but the 45 to 80, 85,000. Tech's one of the great schools for engineering. Don't overlook some of the smaller colleges for chemistry because it's a lot of personal attention. You won't. I think you'll enjoy a small college atmosphere for chemistry.
Very good. And Jacob.
Yeah, I'll start with the education side a little bit. So very familiar with Virginia Tech and all those other schools. I went to a little bit smaller school, Bridgewater College, which is just near JMU, just south of JMU. Wayne talking about class sizes. I actually had a senior level physics class where there were only 3 people in there, including myself. So you had to do your homework. You could not be absent, could not be late, nowhere to hide in that type of setting. But it was very good, thinking about that small, it felt more like a high school setting than it did a big university setting. In terms of salary range, kind of along the lines of what the other participants have said, starting at around 45, 50,000, you're probably going to cap out in a position like mine around 70,000 before you actually get into more of a management position overhead of other people, in charge of other people.
Very good. So I hope the thing that you all heard was that it's not so important where you go, but that you go and that you find a place that has the accreditation and the right stuff, but that it's a place that you fit in and that you enjoy. And then come back here, come back to this area. We'd love for you to come back. Thank you so much. If we could have everybody give a round of applause for our speakers. I won't be able to tell that you're doing it because I can't see you, the participants. But thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to participate. I'm allowed like less than a minute to share a piece of wisdom. When we've done this in person, the biggest piece of information that I've wanted to share, that no matter what career you go for, it doesn't matter whether you want to be a cartoon drawer or a chemist or a civil engineer, but the more math you take, the more money you will make. And that's that is not me saying that, it's research, it's science has studied that the people that make the most money understand math, because it's not just about learning math, it's about learning those processes and those procedures and understanding how to solve problems. So I hope you've all enjoyed this and had a good time. And now we'll turn it back over, I believe, to our Audra.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you to all of the panelists for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us today. For our student attendees, we hope you are energized and excited to research opportunities in the STEM career cluster. The Career Choice website is a great place for you to start. We will be drawing the gift card recipient name in the coming week after we have a chance to follow up with our teacher whole class registrations. The gift card recipient will be contacted through your school. You can provide yourself with another opportunity to win a $50 Visa gift card by completing the Career Choice scavenger hunt found on the Career Choice website. And the Career Choice survey will be coming March 22nd. Each student completing both activities will be entered into a drawing for their school. Good luck, and we hope you will continue to take opportunities to imagine your potential, connect with employers, and explore your career possibilities. Thank you all.